Last week on Business Bootcamp, we talked to David Wagner from Headband Movers, a moving company out in Colorado. And one of the issues he was facing last week was just the overall morale, the employees not showing up, not caring, etc. And today, on this episode, we're going to talk about potentially him implementing P4P, or pay for performance, where he gives them a percentage of the labor revenue instead of an hourly wage. Now, what's different is with this headband moving company, they do charge the customer by the hour. So going faster on the job doesn't really make the company more money. However, we suspect about 30 to 40% of the day from the crew is still spent on non-revenue producing tasks like driving to and from jobs, getting coffee in the morning, and doing stuff that's not billable hours to the customer. That is where you're going to see a huge waste reduction and an increase in inefficiencies when it comes to implementing pay for performance. We talk about the possibility of doing that, as well as using P4P as a way for the team leads to start recruiting the people who work under them in the field. So again, David, Headband Movers. If you like the whole episode of Business Bootcamp, the episode's down in the description, the link to that from last week.
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. How was the week?
Really slow week.
Really? In terms of work coming in?
Yeah, just like was able
Middle
to book
of the month?
Yeah, just middle of the month, man. So just kept my crew busy with like a lot of promo. They hit probably 100 different apartment buildings in the Denver area, just to make sure they got some hours this week.
Mm-hmm. And have you started looking at the commercial side of things and seeing if that could potentially fill in this kind of middle of the month?
Yeah, so I'm going to start running some commercial pay-per-click ads in the Denver area. I'm going to be updating a page on my website that's specifically for commercial moves. And then my Google My Business page is going to be offering that service as well now.
The guys mentioned to me that you were looking at a WeWork. Is there a pretty good size one there? Because I thought that was pretty smart, since obviously there's going to be a lot of in and out of offices from them.
Yeah, I mean, I have a membership, like a global membership with WeWork. I've been going there for the last 3 months. Ever since I've joined the Bunker Labs boot camp, it's something that they did for me.
Do they have something though where you could potentially be someone that helps people move in and out of the offices though?
I don't know. That's something that I could look into. I know that they post my services at the local WeWorks, and they have my business cards, my flyers, and stuff there. But I've never really thought about that before.
Yeah, like I know we talked about last time, like trying to find the commercial work side of things, which I just kind of look at something like a WeWork where there's so much in and out because it's short-term rentals basically, where that could potentially be useful. Outside of like moving like residential or even commercial, is there other things that are like ancillary services in your industry that people will do just to keep their guys busy sometimes?
Yeah, like furniture assembly gigs.
Right.
But they just don't, like, I wouldn't make much money off of those jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would keep them busy and it would give them hours, but I wouldn't really make any money off of those jobs. Packing jobs, which we already do. We've started accepting more of those jobs, but that's about it.
The assembly, is that mostly contracted through like furniture stores and hardware stores, etc.?
Yeah. The majority of it's from like IKEA or different furniture stores.
Okay. Yeah, I know that's like a very cutthroat, low margin business. I've heard that before many times, just because everyone's willing to do it for cheaper.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like a guy will spend an hour and 45 minutes to assemble a dresser, and the customer, like, you'll be lucky to get $80 from them.
Yeah.
And then pay my guys 25 an hour a piece. So it's like I'm making $30 off the job.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. And then, so is it pretty much common that this is kind of what happens? The middle 10 days of the month is just very, very slow.
For a newer company, yeah.
Got it. And then as the company ages, what's sort of the expectation? Is it just that you have more longer standing, longer tenured customers that keep you busy throughout those times?
Yeah. As the company grows, we get more and more referrals as time goes on. Most customers will stay at their apartment or rented house for 2 years, maybe 3 years. So we get a lot of returning customers as time goes on.
Got it.
But with a moving company, if you're doing everything right, you're doubling your business every year almost.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And so when you're doing the promos, is it mostly just really trying to sell the same service, trying to get more of those initial customers in the door then?
Yeah.
Have you thought about doing a flex hours with your guys, like where, so that way you hire less guys, but then they work, say, 50 hours for 2 weeks out of the month, and then only say 25 or 30 the other 2 weeks? Have you thought about doing that very much? I know obviously overtime comes into play, but have you thought about doing that? Just because like the alternative is, basically paying them to do promotional stuff, which is extremely expensive when you start throwing in wages into that.
Yeah, I haven't considered the flex option. But everybody on the team or in the moving industry understands like the middle of the month gets kind of slow. So they, guys really, really work hard. The end of the month, the beginning of the month, and all my guys hit overtime in that time, and they kind of look forward to things slowing down in the middle of the month. It's time, so kind of like a flex thing already going on.
Got it. Okay, no, that makes sense. All right. And then were we able to talk to them about open book management and kind of show some of the numbers this past week?
I was able to sit down with my dispatch manager and then put together a game plan for the meeting. Waiting on my CPA, my bookkeeper, to get back to me. They're filing like corporate taxes right now. So they're going to put the books together and have everything ready for me in the next week and a half.
And so this past week, how was it with the team? I know there was the 2 of them that were not super bought in. The other 4 were pretty gung-ho. How did that play out this week?
Yeah, so I ended up letting one of the guys go. And then he's friends with the other guy that I've been having issues with. He actually just sat down in my office the next day and then put in his 2 weeks notice.
Got it.
So,
do you think 4 guys is going to be sufficient for now? Or is it really those end of month where it's going to be a little bit tight now?
Yeah, it's going to be really tight at the end of the month. I just hired another guy yesterday. Brought him on. He's an experienced mover, but I need to have at least 6 guys to be able to operate at a profitable level.
What would you say is like your average churn right like now? Like how long does someone last? Like 2-3 weeks is it on average, or like, is it 2 months? Like where are we at? Because I'm kind of trying to think like, is finding employees the best option, or do you go more of a 1099 route and try to get guys for like 1 or 2 week stints?
Usually guys stick around for like 3 months. I mean, the summer was hard, man. I was just hiring all the wrong people, and then they were just not a good fit. They were just not solid employees. They just weren't good people. And those guys maybe lasted 2-3 weeks. I would love to go the 1099 route, but there's like some legal implications if I do that with a moving company here in Colorado. I can't have an entire 1099 team. Eventually, that's going to catch up to me with the state of Colorado, and potentially jeopardize my moving license.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like, it's just so difficult. Like we have this, obviously spring rush, and then like, the demand curve goes down in the winter. You almost are having that every single month, right? And so when you have that seasonality on a monthly basis, it creates even further challenges when it comes to hiring. And so it's a matter of either A, you fill in the gaps so they have a little bit more continuous work, or B, you've got to figure a way to make it profitable for 2 weeks out of the month and then just limit cost as much as possible for the other 2 weeks. And I'm just trying to think of like potentially you try hiring people with the expectation they only work with you for 2 weeks. How long does it take you to train someone up? Like, do they just need 1 day, 2 days on the job and they're kind of ready to roll? Or is this a matter like, do they kind of need 2 weeks?
Yeah, like right away, I do, 3 or 4 jobs with the guys, and then my leads will take over from there. So they don't need a whole lot of training, because when they first start, we just have push-in boxes, right? Or wrapping. They're not handling the very fragile items. They really just got to earn their rank. as time goes on. But I train guys pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. What if have you thought about trying to do something where you have like a team lead for the truck that's the driver and kind of the one that is more experienced that you're going to keep on longer term? They're at a higher percentage, and you actually give a percentage of the revenue from the job to the lead and then a lower percentage to the crew members. My thought on this is, if you did that, you could potentially turn your team leads into kind of where they're recruiting, because they kind of have their crew underneath them that they have to go find. And they know if they can generate more revenue in a day, they get more revenue themselves because they're getting a percentage of the revenue. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the challenges with moving, like with most services, you can't go so fast that you're damaging things, right? And so you don't want them going fast, but you're getting paid by the hour anyways. Am I correct on that? Like in terms of your final invoice?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of like, hey guys, have you ever thought about giving them a percentage of revenue or doing more of a performance-based pay instead of just hourly?
Yeah. I just had that conversation with one of my mentors a couple of days back. Eventually just making the entire company in the next 4 years employee owned, but leading up to that, giving them more opportunity to make money in the company.
Yeah, well, like, an employee-owned business honestly is actually a liability to the employees unless there's consistent profit, right? So like usually profit-sharing programs is a nice intermediate before doing an employee-owned program, because an employee-owned program, if the company loses money, theoretically, if they have equity in it, they're like, it's a liability, right? And so they can be scared by that, and rightfully so. But like, my thought is, okay, why don't we look at the books when we get them back and see, okay, what percentage of our revenue went towards wages? Let's just say it's 40%. Okay.
It's right around 40%.
So let's say, okay, it's 40%. We need to have a healthier margin. Let's give 35% of all revenue to our crew. And how do we break that down? Well, okay, we're going to give 38% of that to the team leads, and we're going to give 30% of that the revenue split to the crew, the guys, the frontline guys, right? So that way it's like, okay, if I have a truck, I'm going to have 1 or 2 guys underneath the team lead, and they're going to be at a lower percentage of the job. So if the job is, $500, I'm giving 35% of that away. That is 350. No, that's like 200. Like $200, something around that. It's set amount that is going to go to the employees. And because you're doing by the hour, theoretically, they could go slower and make more money, right? The thing is, they have that boss there all the time, which is the customer, to keep them honest. And they're going to want to make sure they do a good job because they are on hourly. It's not like they're going to try to skimp, right? I think that'd be really interesting, not so much from a making more money perspective. Like if we could take it from 40% to 35, there's obviously margin there for you. And so if they kill it and make more money, that's fine. Like you're okay with it because you locked in this 35%. And then furthermore, it's a matter of you don't have to be as micromanaging. Right. Because that team lead is busting their butt to make sure their crew stays on task, gets the job done, because they're making a really good amount of money if that customer's happy and there isn't issues. And then potentially, again, like they would try to find employees to work underneath them, potentially inside their friend group.
Yeah. I mean, I give my leads a lot of autonomy out in the field to run things, and that's something that I've been doing over the last 3 months, just because I just have too much on my plate in the first place. But if I can incentivize my leads to be in more control of the job, then I'm all for it.
The thing is, like, what's kind of unique is that when you're charging your final invoice by the hour, you kind of already have a system like this. And that is they're getting an hourly wage. You're charging the customer an hourly wage, right? Mm-hmm. I think it shifts in their mind though, when they know they're getting a percentage of that. And what that does is cuts out all the lollygagging that's not actually producing revenue. So getting to jobs happens way faster. Fueling up, brakes, all of that is where you're going to see the increase in profitability, because now they are not getting paid for that. They're getting paid to be on the job site.
Yeah.
It's not really on the job site where you're going to see the benefit, because they already are getting paid by the hour. They're already getting kind of like a quote unquote percentage of what you're charging the customer. It's just the fact that now you're probably going to see your percentage of the day that they're actually working, producing revenue go from, I'd imagine, around 70% to probably 85 or 90%.
Mm-hmm. And then logistically, how would that work as far as like reporting earnings, or, I use Gusto right now to keep track of all of that. How would I structure that legally?
Yeah. So basically you're going to have still a base pay that they are going to sign for. And then you basically give them a bonus for anything above that base pay. Right.
Okay.
So, like I'll set you up on P4P software. And what's nice about your model is you can use the simple version of P4P, which is you simply are getting a percentage of the labor revenue. It's just straight across the board. It's really, really easy to keep track of. You don't even have to keep track of like budgeted hours or anything like that. So literally what you would do is they'd clock into the app every day. You'd have a time card, and then all you'd have to do each day is put in how much labor revenue they earned. And then it's going to do the math on the back end of splitting that up. And you can literally go into each user. And if you wanted to give different, like I said, split commissions. So like, okay, a lead gets 38 and someone else gets 30. You could do that all in the user, and it would split the money appropriately each day. And then they would get a report. So they get an emailed report to them saying, hey, great job yesterday. You're 10% more efficient. Here's what you made yesterday. Here's what you made on base pay. So like, again, that's going to be their base pay that they can't make less than. Here's what you made on P4P. And if that's $30, $40, that starts to become pretty motivating to them to stop the waste of like getting there late, all of this other stuff that is slowing down the crew. Like right now, the only thing that keeps them from being late is you getting mad at them. When the crew is getting a percentage of the labor revenue, they will absolutely demolish other employees that make them late to the job because they're sitting in the truck, not making any P4P.
Right.
Right. So again, what's unique about your model is not about them doing the job faster. It's the fact that it's all this other garbage that happens around the job that will immediately disappear when they get a percentage of the revenue from the job. And that's why you'll be able to afford to pay more. It's right. and it's like, man, I'm paying now all of a sudden, $4 more per hour. It's like, no, the reason you can do that is because they're producing $8 more per hour for the day, simply because they're cutting out all this like late to the job in the morning, which you can't charge for now, spending 20 minutes at gas stations, which you can't charge for. And now all of that stuff is what would get cut out.
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah, it makes sense. It does.
What I'd recommend doing, David, is just sign up for the trial version of P4P, and without even telling your guys, just run their time cards each day. It'll take you like 5 minutes, and you'll literally just put in the time that they punch in, the time they punch out, and how much revenue they earn for the day. Run that on the back end, and you're going to very quickly see, because it'll show you the efficiency of each person as well as the whole crew. And I guarantee you, I would imagine your efficiency is around 65% right now. Just by changing that to where they're getting a percentage of the revenue when they're on the job, that will go to 85 or 90%. Almost guarantee it. And then in terms of reporting in Gusto, like I said, when you run the report inside P4P, it'll tell you what they made on their base pay, which is just hourly times, how many hours they clocked, and then what their performance dollars were, which would be the bonus on their paycheck.
Okay.
And then what's nice for you is like the thing that I'd imagine is the pain in the butt for you from a customer service standpoint is damages. Damages are on the table for them. Like their performance dollars are on the table when it comes to damage cases. Right. So that's what makes them slow down and really take their time and do a good job, is the fact that they know if they damage someone's, wall and it costs $50 to repair it, that their performance dollars, anything above base pay, is on the table for damages.
Okay. I like that.
So like, it's very unique to me to actually, honestly, like that I would even think P4P would be beneficial in your market because you're charging by the hour. And typically most of the efficiency gained is the fact that they do the job itself faster. That is not where you're going to see the benefit, because you're already charging by the hour. What you're going to see the benefit on is the massive amount of waste that's right now not being charged to the customer in the form of guys being late, showing up at the job late, gas stations, breaks, like it goes on. And you're not, that's not non-billable time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if they're able to make, $4 more per hour, I think your retention will go up too. So that is helpful, but it's not about that, because what you'll eventually do once you run the numbers in the back end, you'll see what the efficiency numbers are. And if you do that even for 3 days, you'll immediately see your highest and lowest performers, and you'll see what that percentage efficiency is I truly believe like that can go up 20, 30% just by giving them a percentage of the job.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and if they're more efficient, we could book more jobs, right? Like on the weekend, when we're the busiest, there's teams that I just know that they're not going to be efficient. So they can
And
only
if you don't have enough, too much work, what's going to happen instead of needing 6 guys, you'll only need 4 or 5. This is what happened when we implemented P4P. We lost some of our crew because they didn't like the system. We lost 2 people. And the other 12 or 13 wanted it. They embraced it. And we did not have to hire any more people simply because they got more efficient and were able to absorb that extra workload.
Okay.
And that's how you're able to afford to pay them more, right? And that helps retention.
Okay.
So let's try that for this week. Let's give that a shot. Even if you just run the numbers in the back end, don't necessarily pay them. That's a whole conversation. You got to convince them on and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
but for now, just
yeah.
start the trial and start tracking it. It'll take you like 5 minutes a day to just see, okay, how much revenue they earn, time in, time out. That's all you'll have to do for each employee. And then you'll just start to see over time who's the most efficient, who's the least efficient. What is that number? I'm going to guess it's around 60 to 65%. And I would almost guarantee it'll jump to 80+% efficiency. And that is how many of my minutes in a day that is clocked in are billable to time to the customer. I think that'll go up 30%. I really do.
Okay. Yeah, I'll run it. And you'll have the teams shoot me over the P4P software.
Yeah, I'll have them create a login. You know what? You can create your login yourself and just do the 1 month trial and then we'll extend it.
Okay.
Yep. All right, let's try that out. Let's see how that works this week. Just running it on the back end. And obviously a little bit slower now, so you should have some time. But then I want to see what those numbers are because I think you'll be kind of shocked at how low that number is right now, and then what that potentially could be. And you probably already kind of have an idea, honestly, of like how many clocked hours per day versus how many billable hours. Is it around 60, 70%, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's track it for a week and then let's just see if we, what does the numbers look like for their pay if we would move that to a percentage based, and you can run those all in the software, just change the variables and see what they would be paid otherwise. And see if that could potentially help some things.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that'll put some things into perspective for me too.
Cool. All right, David, I appreciate it, brother. We'll talk next week.
Yep.
Take care. Yeah, bye.